Hi guys, thank you for taking a time out to listen to this video. I would like to spend this time to talk about the reality of a bad influence. So I know a lot of youth that come into the street dance. Some of them they are bad influence and some of them they are good influence. So the reality is we do have a bad influence out there and people have been influenced by all kinds of things. So, so the reality is now, street dance is a program that is in the streets, and we all know that the street is full of bad influence. Sometimes it's full of good influence. So that is something that we cannot be able to escape. So we are operating in a place where there is a bad influence. We are operating in a place that is in the street and where people are going up and down, people are doing their own thing. So street dance is operating in those areas. So we are not out there to tell the youth how to live their lives. So we are just out there to bring a light at some issues that are influencing the youth. So a bad influence, it's one of those things that is running around the streets, and the youth have been influenced to smoke, influenced to drink alcohol, so influenced to do negative things. So it's all out there, and our role as a program of street dance is to bring the highlight to those things, not to tell people how to live their lives or what to do with their lives. So we cannot escape the issue of bad influence. So we are trying to influence the youth to do the right things, to choose to make the right choices. So we're trying to bring the green light into areas of life. So hopefully the youth can see those things and they can be able to make choices to abstain from those things. So we do have a challenge with street dance where the parents says street dance is bad influencing ulucha. So we're getting a lot of those talks from the parents, those remarks from the parents where they say street dance is bad influencing the youth. So our question is now, the street dance is operating in the street, and we all know that in the street there's all kinds of bad influence. So we cannot be able to say to the youth who come to street dance, wena sukuza, wena ungaza. So we cannot be able to push people away who comes to street dance. We have to allow everyone to come. So because we have to treat everyone equal with street dance, we have to see everyone equal with street dance. And then now we cannot be able to know who is a bad influence, who is a good influence. But I personally have seen the youth that are hanging around with the bad influence youth. So sometimes I do approach them and says, "Yo, your friends are bad influence. You need to walk away from them. Get a new group of friends." So parents needs to understand that the street dance is operating in the street, and the influence that goes into the street sometimes affect the street dance. But we are trying to fight that influence to not come inside the street dance and frustrate what we are trying to do in the streets. So abantwana bezinto ezirongo, we cannot control those, we cannot control them. So we can only say nirongo apa, nirongo payana, lungisa apa, lungise payana. So it is very challenging when the parent says the street dance is poisoning the youth, the street dance is emotional lucha, whereas as emotional lucha, Tina, we're just trying to bring the youth together, and then we highlight this into as emotional lucha, and then lucha has to make a decision in the long run. So the reality is some of the children that comes to street dance, they're coming from the broken backgrounds. They're coming from the backgrounds of from being raised by parents who are so rude, parents who smokes, parents who drink and who drink alcohol. Some of these kids they've seen the worst of the worst. And they come to street dance, to forget about those things and just to be in that environment with the other youth. So we are aware of such things, but now the parents are not aware of the bad things that they're doing to their kids. I mean, it's these kids are dealing with a lot. I mean, they are facing a lot of challenges at homes. And I feel like when they come to street dance, they come to a place where they can be themselves, forget about their homes, and enjoy themselves. I mean, at the end of the street dance, the reality is they're gonna go back home and face those challenges, and life goes on. And it's an ongoing battle every day. So my role as a program director of Street Dance, I always introduce the youth to God. With Street Dance, we talk about Jesus, we read the scriptures, we pray. That is my belief that if you can introduce God to the youth, God can change the life of these kids. I mean, people are expecting street dance to change the youth. We cannot change the youth. We can only present a program to them, and then they come and enjoy the program. And in the long run, we can speak about God and speak about how God can change them. Because when we introduce Jesus, we are talking about Jesus who can change lives, because I believe my life has been changed by Jesus. And I look at these kids and I can see that I see myself in them, and I can see that God can change these kids. And if they can just commit themselves to Jesus, surrender their lives to Jesus, change is possible. And that is my belief. And as I'm out there in the streets, I always bring the issue of Jesus to them, and they know every street dance, we pray, we talk about God, we talk about Jesus, and I also bring a highlight to the issues that they are facing. Bad behavior, drinking, alcohol, those are the things that we are trying to fight against in the street. So a bad influence is out there. Some people, some kids come to street dance smoking. We always challenge them, stop smoking. Some bring alcohol, stop drinking. We are not drinking in this thing. So with street dance, we don't tolerate fights, we don't tolerate alcohol, we don't tolerate smoking. So those are the things that we are always address, Kulucha. But at some point, we become the bad guys, even though we are trying out there to tell the youth, you guys need to change, you guys need to stop doing all these bad things, because abahlali basijongile, and abahlali they make ugly comments towards the street dance, whereas we are trying to do a positive thing in our community. So we cannot change the youth, guys. Only God can change the youth. But I believe we can try to influence the youth towards the change. And we are aware of the bad influence that is out there in the streets. So we are fighting against that. And we are trying to make sure that that bad influence does not affect the youth of street dance, even though it's an everyday battle. So we are still going to fight, and we are still going to stand against what is wrong, stand for what is right, and believe God that God can change the youth of Ikasiletu. So parents needs to give us a break. You guys need to give us a break. I mean, really, these kids, they're coming from broken backgrounds. They're coming from terrible situations at home. They are dealing with the Lord. So give them a break. Let them be kids. If they make mistakes, let them learn from their mistakes. If they come and they do stuff, they're just kids, man. They're just kids. They need to go through that phase. And it's everybody's phase. We've been there also as kids. We've been done a lot of stupid things as children. But now it's their turn, and they need to learn from those. But we have to encourage them to stop. I mean, they are willing to listen. You go to street and some of the kids, they are willing to listen. And that is a good sign that change is possible and they can change. So I just want to say that, guys, thank you for watching this video. And I mean, like, we are still going to go into the streets and work on the issue of bad influence amongst the youth in the streets. I mean, that is our battle. So we are facing a lot of comments from the community that the youth of street dance is having a bad influence, but the community is failing to see the background of these youth. Where are they coming from? What is happening to their homes? What kind of life are they living at home? Because some of them, they're coming from the drinking families, and they come to street dance and they think drinking is cool, and we are fighting against that. We don't think drinking is cool, and we do not tolerate drinking with street dance. So thank you for listening to this video. So hopefully it addresses the issue of bad influence in the street. We are out there, we are going to fight, and hopefully God is going to help us. Thank you, guys.